kid. I think Knicks has finally found his way into the brick academy somehow. Everything. So I think he's left the mansion and is now inside the Class C or Class B now. So guys, look, man. We actually no. This is what I always like to do. Before we really go into any kind of details and stuff, man. Let's so Knicks and Devil. How have you been doing, man? What have you been doing? How's your week been? How's all that stuff?
Long. I worked 11-hour shift today. I was up I woke up at 3:30 this morning. Went to work, started at 5, finished at 4. I'm off tomorrow, luckily. So,
yeah, man. It's been this week feels like a month. The week has been it's been so intense. I'm not gonna lie, it's been so intense. And literally as I come on here, I was literally just working about 5 minutes before. So I turned off one computer, my work computer, turned on this one, and probably when I'm finished here, I'm gonna go back to that. So it's a lot. It's a lot right now. But I say all of that, considering everything that's happening in the world, it could be a lot worse.
Could be a lot worse. You're right.
So look, man. Let's just jump in, man. Let's just jump in right in here and everything. I mean, we could have talked about, what's happening with the Premier League coming back, La Liga coming back, and we'll probably touch on that. But I think, we sort of all agree that we can't sort of ignore the kind of elephant in the room, which is that, so Bundesliga happened and so forth. Bayern Munich did their thing, but I think we can't ignore which has been. You could argue sorts of the biggest story in the world now. Of course, COVID-19 has sort of dominated this year and so forth. But another story that has sort of now dominated the world are the riots happening in America. And I think because it's such a big thing, it has gone beyond just America. So you're looking at Germany, you're looking at the Netherlands, you're looking obviously at England and everything. You've seen protests throughout. And I think, what is always key is because, what I find funny? Is people say, oh, no, leave politics out of this. But I also know politics isn't just like a separate, politics is life. You have politics. You not caring about anything is a political stance. Politics is the way you view the world. Everyone, even a pacifist who cares about nothing, that is their politics of life, is that I don't care about anything. So you can't leave politics and anything because politics goes in hand in hand with everything. And I think even most people will agree that the greatest sports person of all time, Muhammad Ali, he was at the forefront with regards to speaking about things. And I think he was the one that I think almost every kind of sports person, whether it's a LeBron or so forth, sort of took a leaf out of what Muhammad Ali did, which was that, if you have a platform, and many people look towards you, you can use that platform to speak. And obviously, so we saw that with Marcus Thuram, who is scoring some G's, man. I mean, that guy, on the down, this guy is G'ing up for thingy, because it's just so great whenever you knew a player's father like really well, because obviously like I didn't really grow up with Johan Cruyff. So when Johan Cruyff came through, I was like, okay, well, I don't really know the guy, but seeing seeing young Thuram, I really remember when your dad was playing. It just shows how old we're now getting. We're like, but these guys are not kids. We're like, we knew their father and everything. And also, so we saw Hakimi. No, maybe there were more, but the ones that I know that I saw was Hakimi, Sancho, and Marcus Thuram putting in the justice for George Floyd. And I think, but what I liked about what they did was, and this is what I've been trying to say on whatever platform I have, is George Floyd. This is about George Floyd. It's not about the looting, the breaking down of the buildings, the burning. Don't forget, because I always say cause and effect. There is no effect without a cause. So because see, the key thing about that is that what is so powerful about this is everyone knowing, and these footballers are very known. Sancho is very well known. I mean, out of those three, of course, Hakimi is known, Thuram is known, but Sancho is like, people view him as, okay, this is one of the best young players. So him doing that means that maybe that young kid who doesn't really know what's happening will be like, oh, George Floyd, who's that? Google George Floyd. Oh, wow. You're now made aware. So it's just making, so which is why it's your platform can be a powerful thing because the more people that know and the more people that are on this whole justice thing, the more pressure is going to put on that flipping Minnesota thing. So, come to the devil first. So, thoughts, because I want to just expand this with regards to sports and politics, but specifically on seeing what Sancho, Hakimi, and Thuram did.
Well, obviously, it's nice to see. It's good to see that these sports persons and athletes or whoever are actually, in tune with what's actually happening. Because that's something that's always labelled to footballers, probably more so than in any other sport. That they're out of touch with reality, and they live in their own they live in their own bubble and blah blah blah. So sometimes it's nice to see that you are actually in tune with what's happening in the world and the issues that are out there. It was a nice touch, the celebration, and quite a few footballers have been quite vocal. That I saw Marcus Rashford released a statement earlier today, and even just outside of football. Obviously, I'm a massive NFL fan. I've seen a lot of NFL players being very vocal.
On that, easy on that, because of the thing. Please talk about the hypocrisy of the NFL on Twitter.
See, the NFL, the actual league or organization, I haven't seen what they've said. But obviously, yes, I agree with you in terms of hypocrisy, considering Kaepernick's been fighting this fight for 5 years now.
So you haven't actually seen their
I haven't seen the statement, no.
Okay, wait. Okay, so I'll load it up. Keep talking.
I have seen statements from Carson Wentz, which was one which I thought was really well worded, and I respect what he said. Carson Wentz is a white quarterback, and he released a statement saying he's finding it hard to find the words to say how sorry he feels for the situation. And he's saying he grew up in North Dakota where he was around white people. He didn't grow up around black people, and he's saying he can't imagine what it must be like to go outside and fear for your life just because of how you look. And he's saying that white people as a whole need to do more to understand that struggle and to fight against racism and prejudices which exist simply because people are black. So I think more people need to come out and say something along those lines and actually educate and inform those who are ignorant in their community in order for this to, at least start to calm down. Do you know what I mean? Put that back up there. I didn't even get to see that. Put that back up.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, because I'm just trying to get the right thing in. I think hopefully this should be it. All right, can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
okay. So okay. Let me read it real quick. So, the NFL family, NFL Kaepernick, interesting. The NFL family is greatly saddened by the tragic events across our country. The protest reactions to these incidents reflect the pain, anger, and frustration that so many of us feel. Our deepest condolences go out to the family of Mr. George Floyd and to those who have lost loved ones, including the families of Mr. Breonna Taylor in Louisville and Mr. Ahmaud Arbery, the cousin of Tracy Walker of the Detroit Lions. As current events dramatically underscore, there remains much more to do as a country and as a league. These tragedies inform the NFL's commitments and our ongoing efforts. There remains an urgent need for action. We recognize, oh my God, we recognize the power of our platform in communities and as part of the fabric of American society. We embrace that responsibility and are committed to continuing the important work to address these systemic issues together with our players, clubs, and partners. Wow.
That is absolute bullshit.
It is such
bullshit.
Because you are the same organization.
They are brazen to even come out with that. Like, have they no shame? Do they think we're that blind?
No. Do you know what the key word was? Our platform. Kaepernick was using the platform to talk about the very same thing. It is crazy how the universe works. And
you know what? It's not even the fact that he was using it to raise awareness for this exact same issue. It's the fact that they blacklisted him. For 4 years, he's not been at work. For 4 years, because he decided to kneel down during the national anthem, he's been out of work. from the same people that say we want to use our platform to say this, that, the other. Yet you had someone who he wasn't causing no problems. He wasn't doing anything out of order. All he was doing was putting his knee in the turf. That's all he was doing. And because of that, you ran him out of the league.
Well, LeBron had a brilliant Instagram post. He goes, he had a picture of Kaepernick kneeling and the picture of the officer, obviously, with his knee.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone has that.
You do this because of this or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So you think a knee to the ground caused more uproar from the NFL and a lot of people in America than a knee that killed a black person. I mean, I've seen a lot of these statements, isn't it? We'll go on to the footballers.
Yeah. So I mean, because we're going to go. So let's just focus on the players.
Oh, we're going to talk about the players now.
No. Yeah, basically the because what the devil says. So focusing on what he thought about Sancho, Hakimi, and Thuram.
For me, I think throughout history, whenever there's been any political movements, there's always been, I guess, celebrity figures who, I'm not going to say tag along, because that's not the right word, but support it, publicly support it. And I'm just happy that in this day and age, when a lot of those celebrities, footballers in particular, have been getting a lot of stick for, their lifestyle or how privileged they are or anything like that, things that for me hold no weight. They are showing that when there is a strong political movement, and in my argument, to be honest, the political movement now isn't nowhere near as strong as it was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Nowhere near. But even if there's a sense of a political movement that a lot of footballers, and specifically for me, black footballers, are willing to stand up where they need to. No, I'm not expecting to go on the front line. That's not their job. Their job is not to go on the front line. Hopefully their job is to finance the political fight. Michael Jackson used to finance the Nation of Islam. Most people don't know that. So, and there's a lot of, we know what Jay-Z and Beyonce do in terms of financially, in terms of the struggle. So I'm just happy that these footballers have shown what I believe was always there, especially the young black ones, I believe was always there once the political movements made their stand. Once the people said, we're not taking this anymore. The footballers and some of the other celebrities said, we're going to stand with you. We can't expect them to be at the forefront of the fight against racism in society when some of them are already fighting on a day-to-day basis at work, i.e. when they go into the pitch. Now, football as a whole, football has to look at itself and say, have we done enough to combat the racism in our sport to show the world that it's not acceptable?
Now you're going to a very great. That's why I don't want you. I wouldn't, because you're going to a great area. So I don't want you to go into good because you're now going into a really good area. So just run off your point because I want to get into the whole football thing.
Yeah, yes. I'm happy I'm happy that the likes of Sancho wasn't afraid to do what he did. There's been statements such from Paul Pogba, Marcus Rashford, what's his name? A few others like Joe Gomez. They've put tweets out there.
But you know what? And it's kind of a sad indictment of where we are as a planet. But let's say, for example, Haaland scored the goal and raised the T-shirt that said Black Lives Matter. That would have so much more of an impact. So much more of an impact. Do you understand what I mean?
No, it would because there'll be, put like this, there's a lot of white people who are in denial. They're in denial that these discriminations exist. Yeah. So if for them, it would take a white person in a position of power to do that, and where they can't at least hide from it anymore.
No. This is what I've always said because like whenever I put out tweets, white people always say, like, "Oh, why didn't make it say black white thing, and everything?" Don't get it twisted. And I think black people know this. Nothing, and I mean nothing, changes without white allies. No, those white people who are ignorant will not listen until a white person says it. They're not going to listen to a black guy say, like, okay, yeah, well, you keep saying, yeah. When in white, Neville. Remember Gary Neville?
Yeah.
What he said was exactly what everybody has been saying. But because Gary Neville said, people are, because I remember Henry Windsor who said, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. The way that he put it, I was like, oh my God. He didn't say anything different from anyone else.
Me personally, if Haaland does that, I'm like, yeah, cool, I agree. If Sancho does it, I'm like, it means more to me because
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
because it's Sancho, it means something to us.
Because as
much Haaland had done it, imagine white people saying, you know what? Yeah,
correct. But what I would say is that the if there's going to be a revolution, it ain't going to be because of the white allies. It's going to be because the people that it's been affected, they decide to step up,
rise up.
Then,
but it's
one second, and then those allies will then step with them. They're not gonna be the one to take the first step.
Yeah. No.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. So I'm just saying the more of our people make that step, then you're gonna see other people step with.
So
yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
So Nick's was going to a very interesting point, and I think it's a great point that he is going to, because I was even thinking about this point, but it's a great point. So he just read the statements from the NFL and everything. And I am expecting because it just seems as if this is like, I mean, I've seen one from Disney, from Pixar and everything. So I'm expecting one from FIFA and UEFA. I'm expecting one because literally almost because I think, see, this is now a global story. And trust me, people love being part of a nice, lovely, let's hold our hands together, kumbaya thing. People love that because it's great for PR. So I will be shocked that if by the time we finish this or by tomorrow, FIFA and UEFA haven't released a something. So, if UEFA or FIFA were to release a statement saying we stand behind Floyd and we stand against racism, we want to come in as one and so forth. So obviously, this is a sport that we obviously know a lot more than the NFL because we live it day by day. We live it for most of our lives. So if they were to make that, would it be hypocritical based on how the organization has dealt with racism within its sport? So Nick's go for it.
It would be a massive hypocrite. Like it would be huge. But I want them to do it. I want them to do it. One, because it's the right thing to do. You have to make that statement. I don't think they believe it when they make it, because if they had believed it, they would have done stuff before. But when they do make it, if they do make it, I'm not holding my breath, by the way. FIFA, more so. UEFA, maybe not. It's Europe. They may not. FIFA have to because it's a worldwide. But when they do, you can hold that as what you in the court of law, you say precedence. Well, you said this. When it comes now to your specific sport, you need to stand by what you said. So if they make that statement, then I hope that when these issues arise in football, and I think it arises in football, they're constant in football. They're constantly going, but obviously sometimes when it goes to the on the terraces and the fans and that kind of stuff, it raises in profile. But they are now forced to do more in their sport because of because of what's come out of their own mouth. So I hope they do make the statement, because it should bring about a better world for everyone. But I'm not rating them for it. I'm not going to say thank you, FIFA. Thanks, FIFA, for saying that racism is bad. Sort out what's going on.
Like, what have you done tangibly? What have you done tangibly?
When English players get abused in like Bulgaria, Serbia, etc.
Eastern Europe. Just say Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe.
And the FA want to come out and make statements. Like, come on, you got things at home. Don't live in, don't throw stones if you live in glass houses. So you need to sort out what's going on at home, innit? So if FIFA make that statement, you need to fix up. And they got footballers in general got a lot of fixing up to do. And FIFA are the leaders in the world game.
100% agree with everything you said. 100%. If and when they make that statement, that will then be used as the yardstick every single time something happens. But FIFA, you said what you're going to do. And if it's not good enough, then people will be down their throats, because you said that you stand against racism. Show us now what you mean. But it's funny because going slightly off topic, but L'Oreal put something out saying that about Black Lives Matter, we're all worth it, something like that. And I don't know if anyone remembers, but there was a supermodel called Monroe Bergdorf about 3 years ago. She come out and she said how she was being racially profiled and this not something against these brands, and they all blacklisted her. She couldn't get a job nowhere. Blah blah blah. She went on TV saying all this happened, and people just ran her down. So she, as soon as that tweet went out from L'Oreal, she was on them. Goes, hold on a minute. What weren't you saying? Blah 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 blah. You know how many times this is going to happen? So all of these big companies, all of these big people in that who are coming out now showing support are probably going to have people running back in their comments going, but wait. When this happened, you were silent.
What's it called? Perfect example. I mean, I'll try and pull it up for you. Disney. So Disney came out with and said, we stand against racism and so forth. And then someone then said, well, when you released the film in China, because we're trying to acquiesce to the racist Chinese morons and the racist Chinese market, you literally erased John Boyega's character from the poster so that it would sell better in China.
Yeah.
So what do we say?
Yeah.
You know?
But then these are the issues that we're dealing with, that people don't necessarily understand.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't affect them. Do you understand what I mean? So this is what
big
people
up
need
John
to...
Boyega. Big up John Boyega, by the way.
Bro, that guy is talking. That guy is talking.
And as Demo said, but these are the kind of things that kind of get missed. They just it's the police brutality and the murders at their hands is, for the want of a better phrase, the ice on the cake. That's not what I want to say. The peak of the, tip of the iceberg.
It's the tip of the iceberg.
So it's a tip of the iceberg.
You can see tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
you can see that.
But all the things that happen below that is what leads to that. That is the final straw. Everything that leads to that comes before it creates the environment where now this is acceptable. And we're saying that this is no longer acceptable.
So I want to go get even much more intense because we're getting. I want to go in much more intense because look, guys, we're not running away from any convos here. So, what are your guys' views? And this again, guys, we're just giving our views here, and we're going to talk. Do you put any pressure? Seeing what things have happened, what Sancho, Hakimi, and Thuram have done on white football players making a statement or a similar statement, do you judge any white players for not making that statement? Should you even judge any white players for making that statement? So, because the key thing is that you're right, it has more power once white people do it. This movement has so much. The reason why the Minnesota departments are screwed is because white people are part of this movement as well. White people are protesting. White people are going out there hand in hand and doing it. So it's like, oh no, this isn't just because if this was just a black thing, like, yes, just those blacks. Let's just rinse and repeat. Hashtag rinse and repeat. But oh god, this is now global. Like everyone's on it. Oh, damn. So because it's now a global thing, do you now think that? And I'll come to devil first on this. White football players should make a statement. Would you judge them for not making a statement? Like, look all this time, and you didn't, because it would be very interesting if, let's say, a Lewandowski comes out and says something, but Muller doesn't, a Hazard doesn't, or a Messi doesn't. So, where do you stand on that?
For me, it's a tricky one. Because at the end of the day, each person has their own views, and each person has their own right to portray those views to whoever they want, however they want to. Just because they don't put a statement out on social media may not mean that they don't support the movement or they're not talking to certain people behind the scenes and whatnot. So we have to be careful when it comes to social media. I understand some people will think twice about posting statements because they have a brand that they have to look after, and that in itself is an issue. More so for black stars than white, because if you're a black man and you're afraid of your brand over your people, then that's saying something. But I understand more so if a white footballer would be like, I don't really want to get involved in that because I'm a footballer. Because at the end of the day, that's what they are. They're a footballer. They may have this platform, but it's not necessarily there for them to speak all their political views. I understand that and I respect that. But having said that, as I said before, if they did come out and say something, it would hold so much weight and it would do so much to just open people's eyes and ears to the struggle and just to get people actually thinking about what's actually happening out there. Because, you know, I'm not saying that there is a guy, but just imagine there's a guy called John from Bradford. He sat in the pub on his Twitter and he's seen all this Black Lives Matter, but that doesn't affect him. He ain't got any black friends, blah, blah, blah. He don't care. But if he was to go into and there's just bare white people saying this, you might think, oh, wait a minute. Do you understand what I mean? It might seem a little bit more personal.
Wait. What he said was so key. And this is why it is so important that white people do it. Because just listen to what Devil just said. And this goes to a larger point of racism and the kind of psychology of racism. Look at what Devil said. If a black person does it, I'm a white guy. I have no black friends. I don't really hang around black people. Black people are sort of like, that's a distant thing towards me. It can't resonate because black people are just this, yeah, I'm here, they're there. But if a white person does it, who looks like me, talks like me, I'm like, oh, you're more inclined to listen because like, oh, I know this person, but this black person is distant. I have no black friends. I don't mess around with black people. They're not, our cultures just don't coincide. And no. But a white person does it, oh, that's my culture. That's my language. So, okay, let me try and listen to this right now. And that's the key. And
also it comes down to white privilege at the end of the day. Because, one of my best friends is white. I've been best friends since I was 4 years old. And, he is very aware of the fact that he has white privilege just because of the color of his skin. He's very aware of that. He can't help that. That's not his fault. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to hold that against him. He was born a white man. That's just how it is. But he's very aware of that. And once you're aware of that, you can then have these conversations knowing full well where you come from, where I come from. Yeah. And a couple of years ago in Denmark, we were there for New Year's. I was racially profiled. I didn't get inside the club because I was black. And when we got to the front and the woman there with the clipboard turned her back on us and walked off and the next man comes and said, yeah, lads, you're not getting in. I said, what? But we bought tickets in London. Do you know what I mean? We're here, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, management not coming in. Then I looked to my right. Everyone outside was black or Arab. Everybody. So when we saw that, my friend was like, are you serious? So, can you not see everyone outside is black or Arab and everyone white just walking inside? And he kicked up more than I did because I'm used to it. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, all right, well, that's just how these people roll. Do you know what I mean? I'm used to it. He kicked off more than I did to the point where he was willing to fight 3-4 people. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, he wrote emails, he went all on social saying, look, this club, all this kind of stuff. And I think more people, if they had that kind of attitude, it would help us immensely. Do you know what I mean? But I think a lot of people are unaware of their privilege. They live unaware of it. And when we talk on it, they don't listen as if it doesn't exist. But unless you're willing to put yourself in that situation where you see something like what happened with me and him, and he saw it plain as day, that only reason I didn't get in there is because of the color of my skin. If I was the same color as him, we'd be bopping in there having the best New Year's of our lives. Do you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people need to understand that aspect of it.
All right, Nix.
Should white people... I'm going to be honest with you. I think sports people are in a slightly different position than, say, musicians and I don't know, we call it influencers and that kind of thing. Because those people directly rely on, you might say, black fans, for example, to
culture,
finance them. They're your black culture directly. Indirectly, footballers do, but it's on a much smaller scale because football is financed by the world. And in this country, obviously the majority population is white people. So if no black person decided to buy a season ticket or renew their Sky, blah, 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 it would have a very small impact with 3% of the population in the UK. So I would look at someone who's using the culture and not standing up for the culture more with a side eye than someone who was never using the culture, was just doing their stuff. I have less expectation from them. They have less responsibility to me. Now, as a black person, you got a responsibility to all your black people. As a white person, you got a responsibility to people as humans, but not specifically to black people if you're not using the culture like that. I personally, if any white footballer didn't make a statement, I wouldn't single out a white individual. Oh, why didn't Jordan Henderson make a statement? Why didn't Harry Maguire make a statement? Why didn't, to be fair, these are the captains. So if anyone's going to make a statement, maybe them. But, I don't know. James Maddison, why didn't he make a statement? Todd Cantwell. I would never do that. If no white person made a statement, I'll be like, okay, so none of them care. None of them care. I can say that as clear. But for me, honestly, it's not my concern. It's really not my concern. It would have a massive impact, as you said, Devo. But my real impact is the lack of black people or some of the statements that some black people are putting out. That's my bigger concern, because if I can't even rely on my own people to make that stand, I can't be looking outside like, why are you not doing it? When you got people like Lil Wayne and
Tiny Temper said something stupid as well.
Statements. That's my concern. And I'm looking at which black people are backing these people, because even if we had all these white footballers making these statements, if we got enough black people making counter arguments, that would undo the whole thing. That will have
because it's ammunition. It's ammunition.
Yeah, so that's my bigger concern. If they make a statement, cool. Thank you for the support. And I'm love to say thank you, because I think it should be a normal reaction against discrimination. But thanks for the support. But I'm not holding any of them to account if they don't make the statement. And I'm not, to be fair, I'm not holding any individual black person to account if they don't make a statement either. As I said, when these political movements come about, every sports person and every person in general doesn't get behind it. Every black person in the country went on the march yesterday. Every black person doesn't make a tweet, wherever it is, when there's racism in football. Everyone doesn't. So I can't expect every footballer to do it. But I just want a substantial amount, especially of the high-profile ones. And I've seen a few of them already, to make sure that the movement carries momentum. But no, I'm not. My focus isn't on white footballers at this time.
Just say that people are slating Kendrick for not talking about George.
Sorry, let me say quickly. Sorry, that's another thing. There's some celebrities who don't have to talk. Some celebrities are doing. J. Cole, I don't think he's made a statement, but you saw him out there.
He's on the front line.
He's out there. He's in the streets.
Jay-Z made a statement, I think earlier today or yesterday, but Jay-Z's been financing the Black Lives Matter movement for years. Jay-Z, it'd be good if he made a statement, and he did. But some people don't respect or rate the guy I'm about to mention, Umar Johnson. But he made a statement. He previously he said, "I can't judge a billionaire by a thousandaire standards." Yeah, me and you are going to make statements, march, no justice, no peace. But I'm expecting the big people to make big moves behind the scenes. What are you doing behind the scenes to make sure that this?
Wait. Easy. Because there's something. Because there's a statement that's wild, but I hope that this guy can expand on his statement. So I think with the whole thing with Kendrick is, look, he's done so much already. His status is already confirmed, and I just think that we can't be like, oh no, speak now. Maybe he's waiting to bring out something that is fully formed before those, so you don't judge it. Now, I want to just finish this here. No debates. Can you just please expand upon this? And this is something that someone said to me initially. Said, so Nix, it's really not your concern until you're directly affected.
I feel like he was talking like I don't think he's talking about me. I think
directly
one person doesn't like a person doesn't, it's not really their concern until directly affected, i.e. that's how a lot of people think. Like,
okay.
So I'm not going to say anything. I think that's what he's saying.
No. Hopefully that's what he's saying.
You know, I think there's a statement, so, you know, in injustice anywhere, it's injustice everywhere. So if I see a black person get killed in America, it affects me the same way if I see a black person get killed in UK.
So basically, I want to bring up another statement that I think you guys will find almost as funny as the NFL one. This is from Chelsea. So Chelsea Football Club stands together with George Floyd and all victims in the fight against discrimination, brutality, and injustice. Well, he didn't say anything about racism. As a club, we are committed to being part of the solution. Let me read that again. As a club, we are committed to being part of the solution, and we are joining our voice to all those calling for fairness, equality, and meaningful change. Enough is enough. Together, we are stronger. Now, let me just say this right. I think most people know that I call myself a complicated Chelsea fan. And that is because living in London, and even because basically I used to, in my previous work was what was it again? It was near Parsons Green. And anyone who knows London know that Chelsea's main place is Fulham Broadway. So my train would go through that avenue. So basically everything there was, because I used to work weekends as well. So I'd also go through with Chelsea fans as they were going to or coming from Stamford Bridge. And multiple times, some of the most heinous, racist, despicable things I heard from Chelsea fans. Most despicable things I've heard. And this is 2-3 years ago. So this goes back to a point of the whole football thing, where the annoying thing of these statements is it's a PR thing, because you're not really going to do anything because your organizations at the core are racist. You know, to this day, Chelsea fans, the hardcore fans, the quote unquote real fans who come from the area, from that places, when things get going and they have a few drinks, those guys are going to hold out those racist things. So, I mean, thoughts on...
You know what would have made that statement better? If they would have actually directly spoke about what it was that's going on. They just put a bunch of words saying that we're together, equality, blah, blah, blah. But tackle this issue, tackle this one. If they would have put at the bottom, Black Lives Matter. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. That's a much stronger statement.
Yeah, this is just very
much stronger statement.
The issue.
Skirt around all the issues. You know what I mean? Even Barcelona did something similar as well, and that was laughable. Do you know what I mean? I've seen a few which is just not really said what it is that's going on. It's just like, right, let's just put out a statement because it's a good time to do so. But they're not actually directly challenging what it is that's going on.
And this is why it gives Chelsea fans, when it comes to racism, I don't like to pinpoint one particular fan group because it is prevalent across the whole of the UK specifically we're talking now. Therefore, it's in every fan base. But why Chelsea fans probably feel they can get away with it is because the club is putting out wishy-washy statements like that. Did they mention black once in the thing? No. Like, come on, man. You know what? I'm more disgusted by the statement than if they didn't bring out one or two. Don't bring out one and I'll say, you know what? At least you're standing firm to who you are. Don't insult my intelligence.
So, I mean, I want to even just go back to the whole thing with sports and politics and so forth. Because, see, it's always weird because for me, I've always said that, same thing with that whole Lil Wayne thing. Lil Wayne is just a rapper with a very weird, squeaky voice. Why are you asking about anything to do with social justice? Why? And I always say that, why should a guy who just kicks the ball around or throws the ball in a hoop or someone who just dances, why should they make statements? But the sad reality of the world that we live in, and this is really sad, is people will listen to a Kim Kardashian over somebody who spent 20 years fighting social injustice. Because I don't know this person. They've been fighting social injustice for their whole life. They've been to matches, they've been beaten and everything, but I don't know this dude. But I love Kim Kardashian. I want to be like her. I want her life. I'm obsessed about her. And everything she says and does, I'm retweeting and I am liking. So do you then feel that people in these platforms, whether it's celebrities, football players, sports stars, then even if they're not part of this whole social thing, because of how famous they are, because of how we as human beings which is stupid, but just it is what it is, do not feel that they now have a duty because of their voice to speak on these things to get as many people in with the movement? Do you think like, no, you have a responsibility to...
As I said earlier, especially those celebrities who are either, in black culture or some of them stealing black culture. Like, I think there was a thread where people were atting people like Tim Westwood. And
I saw that. I was going to say that. There's one guy was atting him. Jack Fowler.
Yeah, everything.
I wouldn't lie, man. I wouldn't lie.
Charlie Slough.
When this thing happened, man, I was like, okay, so how many white guys rap? How many white guys sing? Okay, so Timberlake, Eminem. So look, how many of these guys? Because wait, if you're in black culture, you better speak. And what's it called? Machine Gun Kelly, like he said that, on my way to the protest, then the guy said, well, you just lost a fan. And he says that, well, I didn't want your racist, stupid money anyway. And it went through. So,
someone like Kim Kardashian, I mean, to be fair to her, she's done a number of things in terms of the whole social justice, in terms of, the legal system, getting people, whether it's bail or attorneys or, financially supported it prior to this. I would say someone like her has to. And I say has to, it's a 50-50. I guess you don't have to because no one's forced to do anything. But her whole family's brand centers around black people and culture. From the what you call it, the people they date. No, it's true. Look at all.
No. It's true. I say it's Nick. That is a whole separate conversation about white people and black men and the whole sexual thing and everything. That's a whole different convo. I don't know whether you want to go there.
You got a black husband. You got a black husband, and you got 2 or 3 mixed race children who in America and across the world would be classed as black, and you don't care about the lives of black people. You don't think Black Lives Matter. So she kind of, someone like her should and really should say something, and she does. Additionally, a lot of her, I've seen some pictures recently with her family. Basically, the way that they've changed their color, their complexion, their look, like from, I don't know, they're very, very brown, very brown. Mm-hmm. You see the hairstyles that she does. I remember there was one who came, what do they call it? They called it boxer braids. And I'm like, I mean, we just called it maybe cane rolls when we were growing up. But she did it and it had a whole new name. But her brand centers around black people and black culture. Whether you want to call it culture or you want to call it appreciation, it centers around it. So to not make a statement will damage her. Now, I'm not saying she's doing it for that reason, but for me, it has to go hand in hand. If you're going to use the culture like that, or you're going to be in the culture like that, you have to be in it wholeheartedly, or you are a culture vulture. You are just using it for your benefit, and you're not there to support it.
A movement with no organization or leadership. So now, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? Are you saying
do you mean as in there's
so
no
this movement has no leadership or
there's no particular like leading face or leading name? Is that what you mean? Like there's no figurehead?
Yeah, no.
Why does there need to be?
Yeah, but this is protest.
Yeah,
this is protest. Like this isn't the thing of like, okay, we know that George Floyd is going to get killed. So once the moment that he dies, let's go because we've been planning this for 5 years. No, it happened. And that is the quote unquote beauty, very quote unquote beauty of protest. It's instantaneous. It's spontaneous. That's what makes it so authentic, and that's what makes it so dangerous. As Trump has seen, because this is just people's. Because again, I was reading something. I was watching First Take, and Charlemagne the God, obviously famous guy from Breakfast Club. He was just saying that this is years upon years of frustration, because it's like how many? Because I call it like pissing on you and saying it's rain. For so long, America's system has pissed on African Americans and say it's rain. No, we're going to beat up a guy on camera. They're going to go and they're going to get off. What are you going to do about it? You will riot, jump up and down, and the same thing will happen. Eric Garner and so forth. You were going to video this. they're going to do it. They will get off. They won't be convicted, and you will shout as much. You can shout as much as you want. You're going to go back to work. You're going to dance. You're going to rap. You're going to sing, and you're going to run up and down that plantation, and you're going to entertain us. That is the power of control.
The thing with the point that Adam K makes, and you're correct in the sense that when it comes to a protest is instantaneous. Something happens, you react. Now, change, unless specifically regarding George Floyd, yes, the guy got arrested, charged, and he may get found guilty. We don't know yet. I mean, history says that he probably won't, but if there's enough noise made and enough, protest happening, they may be forced to. But real change ain't gonna come just from a protest. It's what you do after the protest, and that takes organization. Because if you're saying that, all right, we've been as I said, this is the tip of the iceberg. So all the discrimination that's happening within society, how do you overturn that? You have to look at the Black Panther Party. They had free breakfast programs. You need to feed the children. You need to have schools that are teaching people about their history, proud to be who they are. One person can't build it. A protest ain't going to build that. It's going to take an organization. And within those organizations, you're going to have a figurehead or figureheads. Within the Black Panther Party, there was a number of them: Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seale, Fred Hampton, etc., etc. I don't speak about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Everyone knows about them. But real change and real progress within society needs organization. This instant bit, it's short, sharp. It works in the moment. But you can't protest for 50 years straight, 24/7. There's gonna come a point where, all right, what are we gonna do now? How are we gonna make sure that something like this don't happen again? How are we gonna police our own areas? Are we gonna make sure that the police that we have in our communities come from our communities, so they know how to deal with the people in these communities, not some ex-army people who are heavy-handed, etc., etc. There's a lot that needs to be done after this. But while this is happening, I'm all about organization. I was born in organization. But while this is happening, I'm gonna let it happen. Let it happen. Let it reach this point where the time is over. And then what do we do now? But now this is needed. This is important.
Yeah, and another thing, just going on what you're saying about schools and educating and stuff like that. Media is another big one as well. We don't have enough black faces or black voices in the media. So where the media are just spewing all this stuff, indoctrinating people, because that's what they're doing. If you look at the way they report the news, and you'd have two exact same stories, two completely different articles, and that is indoctrinating people's minds to think that this is okay for one, but it's not okay for the next one.
But see, that is why this is compared to, I think this is a tiny little channel, very, very small channel. So this is not going to be, it's not a big, it's a very small channel, but I just say that, yeah, we love football and everything, but just what Devo said. More and more young people are watching YouTube than they are watching news. Not many young people watch CNN. Not many young people are sitting down and watching CNN or watching ABC News. No, they have their phones, their internet savvy, they've grown up in the internet age. And see, we may have been the sort of last generation that were sort of given the whole news thing, but guys who now have in schools, WhatsApp thing, because when I was in school, I don't think Facebook came through. Twitter was not even a thought process when I was in school. So the younger people right now, you're growing up in the whole thing of, no, I'm going to go to social media. No, YouTube. No, this YouTube guy that I basically like TYT, the Young Talks. They're a YouTube channel, and they really have a bigger voice than most guys in a CNN, because people right now are saying, no, I want that authentic, real thing from people that I know. So even from this, my small platform that I have, I just think it's because as much as I love football, this matters to me more than anything. Because I have dealt with racism, because this is stuff that is personal to me. So
if we get killed by police brutality, we won't be here to do the football dugout in it. So,
so
this definitely comes first. So before you.
Okay, so let's just do that, and then I'll remember to you. So what do you think about this then? Because this seems quite extreme. So if you're not making a statement, you are complicit. Okay,
I've seen a lot of people saying that.
Okay, let me be real with you. It's like, for instance, I look at a Will Smith, one of the most popular people on the globe, and he's literally one of the best guys on Instagram, one of the best guys on Instagram. And I'll be real with you, I'm like, okay, Will, what are you going to say? Because Jada Pinkett Smith has made statements already, and that's your wife. And I'm like, and here's my thing. So Will, is it a case of you just want to be silent, you don't really want to say anything, and your silence is sort of you're saying it? Or is it a case of you're so famous because everyone loves you, black, white, everyone loves us, you don't want to say anything that may sort of dampen a particular fan base, which is what John Baker has done, and so forth. But on the flip side is, so let's say your favorite white football player, your favorite white actor, they don't say anything, and you're black. Are they complicit? Do you think of them less right now? Or is it a case of like, well, it is what it is. When they get back to entertaining me, it's all cool.
For me, I never held them to that level in the first place. I wasn't looking for them to lead these organizations. So honestly, I mean, I'm not searching these people's Twitters to say have they made a statement. If someone retweets on my line, it comes on the line, on the timeline. But yeah, for me, I'm not. I'm looking at the people who, as I said, either who are in the culture or the people who have been doing this work for X amount of time, people who are in the positions and have put themselves in the positions on the political front. What are you saying? Whether it's black or white, you are there. You know, Donald Trump, for example, certain people put him in power. What is he saying about it? I don't follow Donald Trump, but it's important to see what he's saying. It's important to see what, a Joe Biden, a Boris Johnson, Jeremy Corbyn. No, those are the people who I would expect a statement from. I'm not expecting a statement from Xherdan Shaqiri.
Well, but see, you're so right. See, this is something that I need to train my brain to do, which is that why do I hide a statement from a guy who raps or a guy who pretends to be other people? You act. But that's just the sickness that we have as a society where it's like, no, I want my celebrity to say something because I love him so much and everything. No.
And you don't want to be forced to cancel him or anything like that.
Yeah, it's like
people force statements. How can you ain't said nothing yet? Your silence is deafening. What the hell? Man, they just do makeup. Let them do their makeup.
you know, but it's true, the point that you're making. And also the other thing is, if we just start saying you have to make a statement, people are just going to put out statements like Chelsea.
Yeah,
and then that's no better than
so basically they'll ask their PR person that, can you just do like a copy paste thingy-majig and just put my name at the bottom, please?
I don't think so. I think, as you said, Nick, certain people's silence is deafening because you're involved in the culture, you're around the culture. All the other times throughout the year you're speaking on these subjects and you're speaking on this. Now you want to be silent. For me, that's one thing. But if you're just a footballer going about your business, it doesn't matter to me if you say something or not. You might be thinking something. You might be like, you know what, that's terrible, blah, blah, blah. And you might be speaking to your friends about it or whatever. I don't need you to come on Twitter and tell me. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make a difference to me.
If you do, fair enough, cool. But that's not my concern. You are not going to see the difference between justice and injustice, isn't it? So,
so from Adetunji says, the real work starts within. If people don't know what their purpose is, then change can never occur. Deprogram yourself from the system before anything. You see, it's like, look, let me be real with you. Let me be fully real with you. And I think this is something that people will say, oh, it's pessimistic or it's dark and everything. Racism can't end. It's never going away. And this is something that I accepted like some years ago. Obviously, before I was saying, no, I think people should change, blah, blah, blah. I have a dream, what's all that kind of stuff. And like, look, and also, we have to have a real conversation about that whole I have a dream Martin Luther King thing, man. Let's just have you come about that. But this whole thing of like, we have to get ourselves from within, it's not going to happen. What has to happen is, this is such an imperfect world, and we are such imperfect people let's at least get to a semblance of justice. Perfection will never be achieved. There will always be an element of racism. But what is happening is too ridiculous.
See, what I slightly disagree in the sense that, for me, racism isn't simply me not liking you because of your skin color. I don't care what's going through your head. I don't care. If you don't like me, that don't affect me. If you have the power to impact my life because of that hate, that's where my concern is. So if I'm walking down the road, Pat in the corner shop don't like me, as long as you're providing my goods, selling me for the same price as everyone else, and it's the same quality goods as everyone else, I don't care. Now, if you ain't serving me because I'm black, or you're charging me more, that's the problem. So, yes, discrimination will probably exist forever based on race, gender, whatever. For me, racism is discrimination plus power. We, as black people, need to be in a position where we are too powerful for them to impact or to affect their discrimination on us. We need to have our own power base, like a lot of communities do. A lot of people don't like the Jews. We know a main person who didn't like the Jews, but the Jews are in a position now where that couldn't run because they have a power base, they have communities, they have their own schools, their own shops, where you can't, we're not going to allow you to go to this shop. Well, we've got our own bakeries.
But wasn't that what I was saying before we went?
Yeah.
Which is the fact of like, if you have that strong community where you support each other, then the whole racist system can't affect you as much. But for black people just don't work together. So
for me, it's about the power that you have as a community brings the respect that people will know not to try X, Y, Z. They will never treat a Jew like that on camera as well, because they know the power of the Jewish community. We don't have that power base, so they can get away from it. Doesn't mean that they love all Jews. It doesn't mean they don't have a prejudice in their mind against them, but they don't have the power to exert that prejudice. And that's where my concern is. I ain't trying to change people's mind. I'm trying to stop their action. I don't care what you think, as long as you don't do it to me.
So there's another question. So, why do white people change the law for only 13% of the population? Well, again, it's about, obviously you guys can speak on this, but it's about control. And obviously, now guys, be very clear here, because see, whenever you say white people say, "Oh my gosh, you're so being racist," like, it's racist white people, and it's the system. It's not all white people. And even as Devil said, 2 of my best friends who I've known since I was 14 are white. Okay, so it's about certain white people. So I think the point here is it's about control, and it's just about control, and it's about having a system of control. Because remember, these black people, they're the descendants of slaves and the descendants of the people that helped build the fabric of the society. But not only that, they bring a lot of value to the society with regards to what they do for entertainment and what they do in sports. What's it called? What is this? Look at the NBA. The NBA is one of the biggest growing sports in the world, and it is predominantly black. NFL, apart from the quarterbacks, a lot of the players in the NFL,
even the quarterbacks are black. Even the quarterbacks.
What's it called? Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, so it's like
a good point you're making about the NBA, because obviously, like watching something like The Last Dance, and we knew it before.
I haven't finished it yet, but
fine. But I'm not even talking about it. But in that era of basketball, the clubs and the owners, they ran the game. They controlled everything. Now, and for whatever reason they wanted, whether it was financial or whatever it was, they controlled it. Now, the players have taken back a lot of that control. The players are in control much more of how much they're earning, how frequently they can move to benefit themselves financially than they could in the past. You look at the Scottie Pippen thing. I'm sure you must have reached that part.
I saw that
where he's on a 7-year contract. That could never run now. Now, does the mindset of the people who run the NBA still exist, that they want to have that financial authority over the players? I'm sure it does, but they don't have the power to do it. And because the players have taken back that power. And that's really what it comes down to. Have you got the power to affect your own will? There's a point I was going to make earlier. It was in response when I was talking about organization. There was a comment from, I think the guy's name's Ngundu Kamal or something like that. And he was saying that people in the US are having those discussions. I'm sure, I know they must be, because people in the UK are having discussions. People across the world are having those discussions. Are we having that discussion, and are we taking the action at the rate that we need to be in comparable to the injustices we're facing? No, we're nowhere near got the same movements that we had in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. A lot of those, of course, were broken up by the CIA, FBI, via the COINTELPRO, J. Edgar Hoover, etc. But those organizations enacted or were able to make a big enough impact and lead the people in a certain way that forced the hand of the government. It's like during slavery. Slavery wasn't ended. Yes, there were white allies, but slavery wasn't ended because the white people who were in control said, this is wrong. We're going to give up all this power. It was ended because they were forced. Plantations were being burnt down. It was no longer financially viable for them to have people as commodity. So they had, and
some families are still getting paid to this day.
Well, up until 2015, that was the last slave owner was paid out by the UK. Black people didn't receive reparations, by the way.
No.
It was no longer viable because we took back the power. We're having these conversations. Some people are doing small things here or there, a Saturday school, a supplementary school here, etc., etc. But at the rate at which we're being brutalized versus the rate of, you might say, recovery, so to speak, it's not comparable. We need to be doing much, much more. And US is one thing. This is happening global. That's why we're marching in the UK. That's why we're marching in Brazil. The Brazilian population is over 50%. No, it's about, I think it's about 50% black, the Brazilian population. In Rio de Janeiro, I think it's just under 50%. Let me get this right. 1,500 people were killed by police in Brazil last year. 80% of them were black. It's an American issue, of course, but it's not solely an American issue. It's not a Donald Trump issue. This was happening before Donald Trump. This will happen after Donald Trump. He's a person at the moment who's taking a lot of stick, and rightly so, because he chats a lot of crap and he has disregard for a lot of people that don't look like him. But this is an issue much bigger.
No. And I think that's the key thing. It's the key thing that you have. This is a much bigger issue. And the reason why it's all interconnected is that this is one event that is now giving us, talking about an issue of racism. And it's this issue of racism that bleeds into everywhere. So racism, and how long have we talking about football and racism? How many times have we talked about the times when England players will go somewhere, a racist thing will happen and slap on the wrist? The things are similar, which is the fact of like, people are like, the words, they understand, they want to normalize this, that it is just what it is. It's just part of the game. In America, it is just what it is. It's just part of life in America. If you're black, that's how you get treated. So, which is why I want to bring this up. So this is from Shamik Moore, a dude who, I think he was the voice of the dude in Thingamajig. What's it called? That Spider-Man film, of course, the name of it. So he says,
Far From Home?
No.
Into the multiverse or Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse. So he says, we have to work on our community before blaming everything on racists and police. There is still black on black violence that needs to be addressed. And two, if you know the wrong white person could change our whole life with a false accusation. So this is
wait. When did he tweet this?
What?
When did he tweet this?
4 days ago.
See, now this is what I'm saying about people making statements and saying stuff. Because at the end of the day, who is this guy? Do you know what I mean? It's dangerous. He's an actor who, okay, he's probably a talented guy who has talents in his chosen field. But who is he to put out a tweet like that and we're supposed to listen? Do you understand what I mean? People will put out statements, but you have to be educated enough. You have to use your brain to read what's going on and make an informed decision based on what you've seen. So some people might read that, and because they want to see what he's saying, they want that to be the case, they'll be like, oh yeah, but this person said this, so blah, 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 blah. Do you know what I mean? Whereas someone who's actually educated will read through that and go, what the hell are you talking about? Where is this coming from? Why would you tweet this at this time? And how did that make sense in your head?
Because what this does for me, especially the first part to it, it's deflecting. It's deflecting from, I would say, especially the current issue.
Yeah, you're just going into something that has nothing to do with what's happening right now.
He's giving people ammunition.
He is. And well. He's not wrong. There is still black on black violence, and I don't even try to actually use that term anyway. But there is still violence within our community that needs to be addressed. You are correct. But what does that have to do with what we're talking about? Because it's definitely in relation to it. It wasn't a random statement. Oh, I didn't realize someone got killed. These were just in my thoughts. And the first part is incorrect. We have to work on our community before blame. No, dude, why can't you do it at the same time? Why you have to do, our community has to be perfect before I can ask someone to stop killing me.
No. No, wait, Nick, it's like this. Wait, Nick, it's like this.
What's that?
Okay.
No one else, no other community, no other people have to be perfect before people stop killing them, except black people. We hold ourselves to an impossible standard. It's ridiculous.
No. Basically, it's like you see a policeman who shoots a black man straight in the head who has done nothing. And it's like, no. Let's stop what is happening. You've just seen a policeman just gone down and guys, no. Forget that. No. Let's try and stop killing ourselves. Forget what just happened. That's what happened. Doesn't mean anything. We can only address what happened by us. It's like, no, that makes no sense. But it goes back to a point you made earlier, which is that the issue are guys like this who've been brainwashed. Well, you can call them coons if you want, but guys who've been brainwashed, which is that they will always try and find an explanation somehow. They'll always try and find an explanation somehow. So it's great. So let's sort of end with this and just have like a quick round of. It says, tell black people, let's go to Africa. They will say no way. You see, this is another. It's an even bigger topic with regards to African Americans, how African Americans, the history was cut over. So I get the African American view towards Africa based on you have no connection towards there. So African Americans, they're sort of somewhat confused, which is why it's like it's interesting.
So many generations after slavery.
Yeah. No, but because see, I think for all of us, it's like we have a different view because I think for both of you, you guys, you grew up in England.
We did.
Yeah.
So we're like second generation from the Caribbean. So much more relation to the Caribbean than African American would have to any part of the African Caribbean. Or
also, American schools. I don't know if you've seen what happens in American schools, but it's so pro-America. They do all these stories about America. But obviously, we all know America's history is whitewashed. We all know that. So a lot of black people growing up in America, they're coming from those education systems. Why would they have any sort of feelings of connections to Africa when they're being told America, the land of the great, America. Literally every single day is rammed in their throat for however long they're in school. So I understand why they wouldn't.
No, because I say like we're all from different. Because again, for me, like I grew up where everyone was black. I kept saying it's the first white person I saw were some electricians who came to fix something in our house, and I must have been about 7, and I was actually afraid of them. Because someone's like, oh my gosh, white people, like, why did these guys turn red? Like, why are their skin so pink? So visions of a young black guy where everyone I'd seen was black until I was the age of 6 or 7. So now moving to England and experience racism is blew my mind because I said, wait, what do you mean by I can't achieve that? What do you mean? I'm like, no, like if I can't achieve it, it's because either I'm rich or poor and everything. So it is a different view I have of a guy who was in Nigeria for the first 10 years of my life and then came to England when I was 12, 13. So from that viewpoint, that's why I even want to ask you guys, and maybe end up upon this is, how do you view yourselves as Black people living in England? Like, going to football stadiums, watching football teams. Do you feel part of English culture and England as a citizen, or don't you? And why? Because again, I don't feel English at all, 100%. Like, because I'm Nigerian, I grew up Nigerian, and I think England made me well aware that you're not really part of this whole thing. So hence why I've kept this accent, that's like, no, look, I have to keep my identity, because even my mom always said to me, like, wait, you've been living in England all this time. I worked hard for you. Why don't you have a beautiful English accent? Like, wait, why is Yoruba such a bad thing?
How good is your accent, really?
No, look, in interviews, I can put on a thing in accent to get my, of course, yes, I have a beautiful CV, of course. So, but that's for the interview. So, so for you guys living in England, like, do you feel English? Do you feel part of English culture? If you do, then why don't you? So, what is your relationship to England with what it is and so forth?
But I do. I mean, I've grown up here. My parents grew up here. Was all born in the same hospital. You know what I mean? So for me, I feel English because that's what I know. I've only been to Jamaica once, and I was 7 years old. Do you know what I mean? So I know, I'm aware of my heritage. I'm proud of my heritage, but I wouldn't say that I've lived enough or experienced enough of that part of myself to say that I am Jamaican. If someone was to ask me, I would say I'm English. But if they ask me where's your heritage, I'd say I'm Jamaican. But that's just because of my life experience. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't feel not comfortable, maybe that's the wrong word, but I wouldn't feel necessarily that I had enough experience of Jamaica for me to turn around and tell people I'm Jamaican. You know what I mean? My whole life experience has been here. London, South London. Do you know what I mean? I can't really say that I've lived much else. So I can't really turn around and say, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
For me, can you bring back up that super chat? As I say before. For me, I only feel British when I go abroad. Because even if I go, whether it's Portugal, Spain, that's one thing. But even when I go back to the Caribbean, they're like, you come from foreign. Like, because obviously my accent is different to them. The way I dress is different to them. Everything. My English boy to them. But when I'm here, I can't say that I feel English because I don't feel that I have the same lifestyle or get the same benefits that I'm going to say native, and they're probably not even native, but the native English people get in this country. I'm not going to go as far, to an extent, I'll go as far as a second-class citizen in many aspects, whether it's in the education system, jobs, racial profiling on the street. I'm not treated like everyone else. Yes, I've got a British passport, and it might go back to blue once that we're out of the EU, but properly. But I'm not treated like the majority population here. Now, in terms of going back to Africa, etc., etc. So before we even go on to that, there's a lot of injustices that we face, other than what I just mentioned. Why I don't feel like that. We spoke about George Floyd, and we speak about a lot of the civil rights movements. But here in the UK, which I guess more people are waking up to, especially in this current climate, but in general, of the amount of deaths in police custody that we've had, over 300 since, directly at the hands of police since 1990. People like Smiley Culture, Mark Duggan, Azelle Rodney, Sean Rigg, Grove.
No, that wasn't police. Sorry, that wasn't police.
But then if you talk about things like Damilolo or Stephen Lawrence and the way that the families who lost their loved ones were dealt with, like they were the perpetrators and not the victim. It's those injustices why I can't turn around and feel British, because would a British person be subjected to that kind of treatment? I'm going to say no. But in terms of going back to Africa, Marcus Garvey says, until Africa and all Africans are free, the whole world is my province. I should be able to go anywhere in the world and be treated with respect. I shouldn't have to be in Africa. Chinese people are treated with respect wherever they go. Americans know they got the backing of America. British know they got the backing of England wherever they go. With Black people, that wherever we go, we're discriminated against, even on the African continent in some places. So, no, I don't have to go back to Africa. I think if we're going to have true redemption, that might be the last step. But I should be able to be treated as a human, as a person, without going back to our motherland.
So no, and well, basically, if there is a race war, and you do need to go back to Africa, Nix, Devil, I have connections in Nigeria. Our food is quality. It's sunny all day, every day. Nigerians are some of the most lovely, wonderful people you will find. I have great, nice places and homes for you if you want to seek refuge in the fatherland, man. So guys, no, look, man. I thought that was a really good ep, man. I think it was much needed, and I think we had to sort of talk and tackle on these main issues. So remember again, guys, to follow Nix and Devil on Twitter. Link is in the description box below, and also I think Javan should have updated it right now. We now have just the one tier for a patron. I'll try and maybe say it more in another video. So just be a patron. It's one tier, one price only for a month to help support us and gain access to more of our exclusive videos and content as well, man. So any final words?
When it comes to football, I don't mind trolls. When it comes to this issue, trolls will be blocked. Do not test me. I tell you right now. I'm not.
No. I have zero tolerance.
If I see hashtag All Lives Matter under any of my posts, you are getting blocked straight away.
Did you see Gary Lineker's thing? Gary Lineker said Black Lives Matter, and someone come up and said that, and he said, "Okay, maybe I should say this: Black lives matter as much as white lives." I was like, "Go on, Gary. Go on, Gary."
Oh, actually, wait. Sorry, say again. So what happened again?
Gary Lineker put out a tweet, hashtag Black Lives Matter. And someone underneath come saying something about, but all lives matter or something like that. So he said, okay, let me rephrase so you understand. Hashtag Black Lives Matter as much as white lives.
Yeah, I mean, no, because you see, that whole all lives matter thing is wild. Because again, what's it called? Well, this is on football, Carly Lloyd. She tweeted the whole thing of hashtag all lives matter. But the thing is that how is that your response when the issue is about police brutality that is predominantly against Black people? Why would your response be all lives matter?
I saw something on Instagram. It was like they done like a fake comic strip about it. And basically it's someone's house is on fire. And the fire guy's like, help me, my house is on fire. And then the fire brigade turn up and go, yeah, but all house matter, and start hosing down the house that ain't even on fire. It's like, but my house is on fire right now. I was like, yeah, but all houses matter. That's how stupid it is.
That's it.
It's dumb.
Okay, we just had one quick last one. By the way, black on black cases are deflective. People don't say white on white cases. Black people don't harm each other because of race.
Because of proximity.
Poverty,
We're near each other, so that's there. And with any group of people, the people that you're near,
basically, watch Boys in the Hood. Basically, just watch Boys in the Hood and listen to
film. Ricky.
Yeah, but basically, listen to Lawrence Fishburne's speech that he makes. Guys, remember, follow Nix and Devil on Twitter. Support us on our Patreon, and just say there will be no Q&A this Thursday because Nix and Devil are not available, so no Q&A this Thursday. What we will do is on Monday, we will try and expand the show. So on Monday, maybe we'll do like first half hour a topic, and then other half hour we'll then do questions. So what Devil will do is like Devil will take your questions at the start of Monday morning, and then we'll then take your questions. So we'll do a half topic and another half questions just to make up for the thing on Thursday. Guys, peace out, stay true, our out. Peace.